welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to our little session. So my name is Stephanie Quintal. I am the head of health and well-being at Tenuity. I've been here for about 7 years. And I'm here with Brooke Cullison today, Director of Ecom and Media at Liquid IV.
Thank you.
So let's start off, Brooke, by telling us a little bit more about Liquid IV.
Yes, so if you have never had Liquid IV before, we're a powdered electrolyte drink mix. We're the #1 powdered hydration brand in the country, so that's been really fun to be a part of. And if you've never had it before, Liquid IV has an optimal ratio of electrolytes, vitamins, and nutrients, which helps you hydrate faster than water alone. So great use case if anyone traveled here. Perfect time to have a Liquid IV. And then we're coming off a brand refresh this month, so new website, new brand visual ID, and we also, because we love to do the most, we launched a brand campaign as well at the beginning of the month. So it's been very busy year, but very exciting.
It has been very exciting. We've been hard at work with them. Liquid IV has been a client of Tenuity since back in late 2019, early 2020. When they started with us, they were very much a performance-oriented brand. Most of their media was on Google and Meta. Being a wellness brand in early 2020 was obviously a fun and exciting time and place to be. We worked really closely with the brand as they accelerated their growth. And Brooke, you joined Liquid IV back in 2021, which was really a pivotal moment for the brand. At that point in time, we were spending most of our dollars driving to liquidiv.com in order to support their e-com sales. But walk us through some of the challenges that you faced when you first joined.
Yeah, so in 2021, right, just coming off of COVID, and to your point, being a wellness brand during COVID was a nice place to be. I think the founding team had done a really good job investing in the D2C, so when everything closed down, we had a lot of first-party data. You were still very able to very easily purchase Liquid IV on our .com, and to your point, we were very, very performance-focused. Liquid IV, we do pride ourselves on that performance POV. And during 2021, most of our media was going to performance dollars, and we were really emphasizing discounts, strong CTAs, and all of our creative, which was obviously, again, very relevant during the pandemic when people were very price sensitive. And it was really paying off. We had a really strong evergreen performance strategy, but then the world, our customers evolved again, started going back outside, more places you can then go and buy Liquid IV because our team on the ground was doing an amazing job with our Amazon and retail distribution. So we really had to then take a step back, and now we're in this world where we have, and it's a good problem to have, right, this omni-channel ecosystem, and we wanted to be able to support all of it, and also, really realizing that our performance dollar was going more to than just a D2C ROI. So how can we measure that? How can we make sure we're getting the best ROI across all of our media from that omni-channel perspective? And that's really where we started to look towards measurement, and that did lead us to an MMM, which has been a great tool to have as someone in media on an omni-channel business to really make sure that we can balance our media mix and using the right channels at the right time.
Yep, and we worked really closely with you on that growth outside of the MMM, but also to look to expand our media presence. And one of the really cool things about Liquid IV is that they're always willing to be cutting edge, bleeding edge, and test into new platforms. So we talked a little bit about the measurement already, but let's start to dive a little bit more into the specific platforms and tactics that we tested and how we really helped fuel that omni-channel growth. One of the first platforms that we went heavy testing into was TikTok. We've done 3 TikTok top views to date. So tell us a little bit about that and how you were able to get buy-in for such a high impact, high cost placement.
Mm-hmm. So actually in 2021, I was here at Tenuity Live, and we had just tested in to creator videos. So creator marketplace with TikTok, that was still a new thing. And now being here, 3 years later, we've done 3 top views, which is really exciting to see the brand grow in that direction. And to your earlier point, we were heavily invested in Google and Meta, and we were seeing diminishing returns on those channels. They are traditional performance channels. You usually see a really strong ROI, especially when you're measuring from a D2C perspective. But when we saw diminishing returns, we were like, okay, how can we push out that threshold, right? Like we want those still to be strong performers, but we need the scale, the reach, and the brand. Our brand awareness was also growing. We wanted to add fuel to that fire, and we saw that not only our customers were on TikTok, but our partners were moving there as well. So that's really why we wanted to jump on that platform, and then it started to really work out from a ROAS perspective. In 2021, we were one of the earlier brands on TikTok using creator assets in our campaigns, and that was a great summer for ROAS. And it's once we saw that, we're like, okay, how can we do even better? How can we do better for our customers on the platform, show up in a way they find engaging? And that really led us to looking at a top view, which is a big investment to make. So having the MMM show that that TikTok was really proving out from an omnichannel perspective, it was driving D2C ROI, it was driving retail ROI. We felt comfortable making that investment for our first brand campaign, which was back in 2022. And again, using the brand lift tools that TikTok provides us, our MMM as verification, had enough to go and say, okay, we're ready to use it again for our biggest innovation to date, which was our sugar-free launch last year. So we really wanted to create a moment for that. And a top view placement, a high impact placement like that was a great thing to be able to have in our toolbox and already proven out.
Awesome. So tell me, so you started talking a little bit about some of the content creator stuff you were doing in the beginning, but tell me more about how the top view really evolved into your evergreen strategy on TikTok. Mm-hmm.
So we do have an evergreen performance strategy on TikTok, and again, we really lean into our MMM for planning that, because now that we've proven out performance and we're getting more into these brand placements, we really want to make sure that they're both working better together. And TikTok, like I mentioned, TikTok has a really great ROI, and we're really starting to see the synergies of that from the team. The Tenuity team shared with me just a couple weeks ago, our TikTok top view audience from last year is still our top performing retargeting audience for our performance campaigns today. So that to me just really proves out, MMM aside, brand lift study aside, that really is showing that we can net out from a performance POV, that these brand impact placements can really drive performance long term.
That was a really awesome finding this week. So TikTok is obviously a great example of a high impact, high view placement that did really well for us and helped us transition to finding other platforms. Tenuity was one of the first agencies last year in the US, or actually the first to have access to the YouTube Shorts Select pilot in the alpha phase. And because of the great creator community that Liquid IV has built through TikTok and through some of their other channels, we knew that they had the strong creator community in place, and they would be great to really start to test into YouTube Shorts. So when we brought you the opportunity, tell us a little bit more about your thoughts and how we approached that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were very excited when YouTube Shorts became an offering. I know from a user perspective, I saw Shorts, I saw how you could engage with it on the platform. And again, it's like, where is my audience? What channels are they on? What are they engaging with? And YouTube has always been one of our highest ROI channels. Using our MMM, we can see that, right? And it might not be like, if you're looking at a last click ROAS or maybe only D2C, maybe traditionally you don't see that being a performance channel, but we are lucky enough to have invested in that MMM and really see it prove out that that's an incremental audience. So having a new placement like a YouTube short, and to your point, we had the creative ready to go, which is rare, but a really, again, great investment. Is like, you always want to be able to make sure you can be agile, and so you can be first to these new tests. And it ends up proving out our YouTube, we had invested in YouTube from an influencer standpoint, so we had relationships on the platform already with really top creators, and then again, it was easy to get buy-in internally because we've have seen the results on TikTok, which is a very similar placement. So definitely jumped into that head first and saw really good performance from YouTube Shorts.
And then being that it was a new format, tell me a little bit more about how you thought about measurement.
Yes, so obviously we move very fast, and again, to be in an alpha, kind of have to. Yeah, no, it's great. And from an MMM, we couldn't break it out or test and learn as quick enough from an MMM perspective. So we did really have to lean on our brand lift studies, and then our obviously traditional metrics like a CPM or a CTR. So we really looked at that first, and then definitely saw really strong results from the brand lift study we did. We also did creative testing too within that study, so we were able to really learn too, like on maybe what's the difference from a YouTube short versus a TikTok, what works better, what kind of creator or messenger works better there. And so now that Shorts is out of alpha, we can actually bring it into our other campaigns and look at that total ROI of YouTube together and optimize to it. And we're seeing YouTube still be a really strong performer. And for us, it's, hey, now how can we measure it holistically and continue to increase that ROI of YouTube?
Awesome. So obviously, somewhat easy transition from TikTok to YouTube, but talk to me more. I know you guys do a ton with Snapchat. How did you sell in the first Snapchat AR lens, and what did that process look like from a performance mindset?
Yeah, so we've always seen really great traffic on Snapchat, and that was even before MMM. Snapchat has been always on an evergreen performance strategy for us, which maybe might be rare for a brand, but again, we know our audience is there, and we see really great engagement, especially after some creative testing. A lot of great engagement came around somewhat tentpole moments. So we had a new flavor launch. Like, we really saw CTRs increase with those ads. So it was kind of easy to be like, hey, how do we, knowing that Snapchat, especially after we got the MMM and saw a great ROI, knowing that we have the engagement there, we have our audience's attention, how can we then increase the reach and engage with our audience on Snapchat in a way that is native to the platform, they want to engage with the brand on? So that led us to the AR lenses, and you can kind of see a couple up here. We did our flavor crown was like a very early one, really leaning into like what are the different flavors that Liquid IV offers. We jumped into a festival lens too, which was really fun when we did our Coachella house back in 2022. Last year we did a travel one. Again, like travel I feel like is maybe like a lesser known use case for Liquid IV, but you do get really dehydrated. And then I really like the AR game we did where you can like actually play with a bottle and fill it up and get some like extra power-ups there. So that strategy of, hey, the strategy that came from the inside of like customers engage more on Snapchat during a tentpole moment allowed us to drive those AR lenses during bigger brand tentpole moments.
Yeah, and we saw not only huge incremental reach, but strong last click ROAS, to your point. And so talk to me a little bit more about just the ongoing evergreen strategy that we have in place with Snap and why it's so important.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we've never gone dark on Snapchat. It's a great evergreen performance channel for us, and now that we're leaning into that successful strategy of heavying up with their high impact placements during our brand tent polls, we do really see it netting out on performance, and that's not even from an MMM perspective. Like even this year, we've seen a bump in last click ROAS from Snapchat, which is really great to see. I think, again, like always remember, like where is your audience? How can we scale reach for that better? Because it will prove out from a holistic POV.
Awesome. So lastly, and going back to Liquid IV, not being afraid to test the waters, you guys have done a ton of work, or we've done a ton of work with Reddit. And honestly, in our advertiser book, some of the most work we've done with Reddit, which is great. So tell me about that strategy and how you got bought in initially to start testing on Reddit.
Yeah, so this goes back to the original problem I was talking about, right? Of like we were seeing diminishing returns on our traditional performance channels. So for us, it was really taking a step back and understanding what other channels are our audience on, and how can we drive reach so we can bring back that efficient scale. And that's all about rebalancing your media mix and your spend. So for Reddit, I'm not a Redditor, but I really love the platform. I respect the platform. Redditors love to go there and learn and deep dive on information. So our audience and our consumers were already having these really engaging conversations around our product, around our science. Like our advocates were there in the comments fighting about our formula, like advocating for us and teaching people about it. So we wanted to be able to tap into that and educate the customer. And then this balance in an omnichannel space of performance and brand. It came at a time where we really wanted to start driving our national awareness. It was slowly increasing, but it was time to like really add fuel to the fire. And Reddit was one of those channels where we're like, okay, let's start in slow. We know our audience is there. It can potentially drive scale. So let's start small budget, some auction ads, some custom product ads, and then we can like start testing more once we have an understanding of performance on that channel.
And as we saw early success with category takeovers, I know one of the things that we did, we leaned into a lot of food and drink, lifestyle and leisure, travel, things that made sense for the brand. But something else that we saw was that when we looked at those tentpole moments and did them back to back, specifically around Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which are huge times of year for Live.com sales, there was some really great performance. And all of this ultimately led to the big activation we did last year with Reddit, which was the Ask Me Anything. So tell me more about how that came to life.
And I think, and I spoke about this right with Snapchat, is like we have these we've proven out performance through that media, and we're taking these insights of, okay, let's try to start scaling through tentpole moments. So with the AMA, it came around at a time where we were planning out our sugar-free launch, which is our brand's biggest innovation ever. And we asked ourselves, how can we go bigger? And how can we tap into these conversations on Reddit? I spoke about how Redditors were already having conversations around our science and our formula. So this was a completely new formula we were introducing, and we wanted to be able to have that conversation and it to be a two-way conversation. And Reddit is the place where you can do that in real time. So an AMA just felt like a very natural fit. It is a big undertaking. It's live. So there is a lot of prep that go into it, and it can be a little daunting. But it's also really great to be able to have that place with your customers where you can really get into the weeds, and which you can't really do on other platforms. So that was a really exciting and a really big test.
And there was a lot of scrutiny over sugar-free, right? And is it going to work? Because it kind of went against the original formula. So how was seeing the AMA live, though?
The AMA was such a fun experience. I highly recommend doing it and being a part of it. We had an amazing host, Steph Grasso, who's a registered dietitian. We had our CX team on the call with our Reddit team, Tenuity team, and myself, and we were all just like on a Zoom call together. We had anticipated some questions so we can get the conversation going and also give our host some answers to help her provide some context. And it was really fun just watching the questions come in, and then them being really good questions and getting at the root of what is your formula? When can I use it? When can I use hydration multiplier? When should I be using sugar-free? And so I think it is a very rare and special moment to be a part of as someone from the brand side, to be able to have such a direct conversation with your customers, even from D2C, right? We're on the front lines, but we're never having that two-way conversation all the time.
Yeah, it was awesome, and it broke some of the stats are up here, but it broke some of the engagement metrics or records and benchmarks that Reddit had set. So it was really cool to see. So lastly, tell me more about how you approached measurement here.
Yeah, I feel like I touched about it a little, right? But we really tried to start slowly and set expectations around Reddit from a D2C performance perspective. So really almost treating it less like a social channel, maybe more like a display, because we were really at that time trying to drive reach, push the threshold of diminishing returns on some of our other channels. But we did still optimize towards traditional performance metrics like a CPA and ROAS. So we definitely took advantage of the new products that Reddit was rolling out at the time. So the custom product ads were one of those first opportunities that we jumped on, and saw CPAs drop 94% and ROAS increase almost 17x, which is crazy to see. Love to see it. And we ended up seeing it to prove out in the MMM from a performance and brand standpoint as well. It was one of those moments you love to see as a performance marketer, that the ROI was high and the scale was there. So we kept pushing on that channel, driving into these higher brand placements like the AMA. So it was a really good opportunity. It really worked well, and it was definitely a win for us.
Awesome. It was fun to be a part of. So I know the team has just wrapped up 2024 summer planning and launch. Tell me about some of the highlights and some of the new things that you're excited about.
Yeah, so year 3, where we've been able to really get our measurement right and have so many learnings from 2 other brand campaigns, as well as our brand evergreen strategy now, right, which is a big move for us, being really performance focused only, to now having brand always on in the mix. Got to do some really fun stuff, and I would be remiss to say, like, without getting our measurement right, we would not have been able to do all the different media activations that we've done to date. Like, we're performance focused. We really had to make sure that we had our measurement together so we can prove out some of these higher impact placements. And it was really exciting. This year we did TikTok out of phone, which were the first CPG brand to do that. And we were in LA, New York, and Las Vegas for our brand refresh launch. So if you're not familiar with TikTok out of phone, it's digital out of home, and you have a feed of your TikTok ads in the out of home ad. So we had our top few leveraged on our digital out of home billboards, which was just a really cool high impact placement. And for Liquid IV being such a customer focused, partner focused brand, it was really great to have that creator connection on out of home. So that was like a really big one I was really excited about. We're also testing Snap Stars this year, which has been a long time in the making. Like, we see creator content obviously work so well on paid social channels. To finally be testing on Snapchat creator assets with creators that are native and popular to Snapchat is going to be really, really fun to see how that measures out. And then obviously doubling down on Reddit this year. We had such great success and fun with the AMA. We're going to do a Reddit mega post, and that'll be really fun because with the brand refresh, we have a lot of new claims and science to share with our customers as well. So want to make sure that we can get that continue educating our customers. And something too new for us, we didn't talk too much about this, but we've found a lot of performance in audio. Podcast was one of our first and largest channels that we've invested in, and just really seeing audio take off too. So we've had an evergreen strategy on Spotify audio, and this year we're doing a homepage takeover. So kind of seeing that success on a high impact placement like TikTok Top View, let's go ahead and test it on another channel where we're already seeing a high ROI. So a lot of stuff, but really fun. It'll be a summer of hydration, which we love.
Love it.
So.
Love it. Well, awesome. This was great. Tell me, I guess, just to wrap us up, what are the couple of takeaways that you hope people take out of here for testing into new platforms?
Yeah, I think for me, the things I really want to share and tool you guys with is get your measurement right. Like I said, like, we would not have been able to justify internally all these high impact activations we have done without having the right measurement in place to prove out that success. And then I also think from a media perspective, like, you really need to make sure you're looking at your holistic mix, especially when you're in an omnichannel business. I think a lot of D2C brands, right, are now moving into retail and having a lot of different points of sales, and you can't just look at D2C performance spend on a D2C ROI anymore. Like, we knew really early on that our media spend towards liquidiv.com was driving more than just liquidiv.com revenue for the business. So it's really important to have that understanding of everything in your purview and making sure that you're getting the right channel mix. Like, sometimes we'll optimize our media mix based on the goals that we need for that month. Like, do we need to be optimizing more to a brand? What does that channel mix looks like? Then optimizing more to an e-com revenue standpoint. So again, that holistic, making sure your media mix is balanced is super important. And then the last thing I would say is definitely figure out a structure where you can stay agile in your media buying. I think we've been really lucky, and it's an internal culture thing where we're very, very supportive of testing. And that really, I think that really shows up in our media. Where we stay agile, we make sure that we love being the first to new things. I'm always asking Tenuity team and our vendors, like, hey, what's new? What can we test? Because you have to think about it from an audience perspective too. Like, when YouTube Shorts rolled out, people were using it right away. So we want to be there with our customers and engage with them in that fun way that they're already engaging with. So being agile, being early is a must.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for being a great client to work with.
Thank you.